Hi all, welcome to the series of intro questions front-end every day with the vision to make each day better with small step. So, so let us see the question 24 of this series. So it is a very important question. Is there inheritance in JavaScript? So many think there is no inheritance, right? Because as we would have seen in classical is class inheriting another class, right? Class A you would have seen extends B, right? That's how a class inherits another class. But since there is no class in JavaScript, many think, right, there is no inheritance, right? How come the inheritance is possible? So there are so many of those questions prevail or have doubts, okay? But in JavaScript, if you take, there is no classical inheritance. Okay, since there is no class, there is no classical. A class never inherits from another class. But in case of JavaScript, it is completely different. It is a object inheriting from another object. It is going to be a prototypical inheritance. Okay, understand the difference? Understand the difference? It is prototypical. That is object inheriting. I stress on it more. Your object inheriting another object. Okay. So how come it is possible? How to make an object inherit from another object? Let me show you. Okay. Let us take a object 1, object 2, and we will see how object 1 inherits from object 2. Right. That's will be our aim. Right. Let me, I think I already did something. So let me take, object 1. Okay. This is object 1 and let this be object 2. Okay. Okay. This is object 2. Now I want the object 1 to access the properties in object 2. Okay. Right now the object 1 can access only A and B, right? A and B, if I am correct, right? It cannot access C. I am not able to access also the C. But how to make it possible to access the object 2 values? It is only possible through inheritance. That is by setting up a prototype chain. So for that, what we have to do? We have to set the proto of object 1 as object 2, right? So to in the object 1, in the proto, I have set object 2. That is what I have done. In the prototype chain of object 1, I have added object 2. Okay. Now if you see, the object 1 will be able to access the value of C as well, because we have added the object 2 to its prototype chain. That is, we have added object 2 to its proto. Okay. What really JavaScript engine does is, first it will access its own properties, that is object 1 properties. Then it will look in the prototype chain of object 1, that is object 2. Okay, fine. Let me show it how we can do it. So this is the prototype chain. Right now what we have done, to object 1, right, we have to objects 1 proto we have set object 2, right? Right. Now what the compiler will do, first it will check if you are trying to access a value of C. If it will check in object 1 whether the values are present. If it is not present, it will go to its proto. Right now we have set the proto to object 2, so it will check in object 2 value whether the whatever you ask for is present in object 2. If it is not there also, it will go to the proto of object 2. Okay, that is maybe object 3. Likewise, it will go till object dot prototype, because every object inherits from object, and it will end with object dot prototype. Understand? So this is called as the prototype chain. Okay. So when you if you want an object to inherit from some other object, what you have to do? You have to set the proto of that object pointing to the object you want to inherit from. Okay, and it will go on. And the object you inherited from to its proto, that also will be available to object 1. So right now object 1 will be able to access object 2, object 3, and so on. Okay, let me add object 3 also. Let object 3 equal to maybe d of 40, right? D of 40 I will set. Now I will add it to object 2. Okay, object 2's proto I am setting to object 3. So now I have set a prototype chain similar to this, right? So now the object 1 will be able to access the d value also, which is available in object 3, right? Because of the prototype chain. In its prototype chain, object 3 is present. Okay. Hope this is clear. Okay, hope this is clear. So we have seen two interview questions about inheritance and also about the prototype chain. Now we try to inherit a object from another object. We can set the prototype to a constructor function also, because it will not make sense to add the prototype to a normal function. So let me add it to the constructor function. Okay, so let it be a function. I will set this dot a, this dot b, 10, this dot b equal to 20. Okay, so since it is a constructor function, I have capitalized it. The first letter is capital. Okay, now for object we saw we are setting dot underscore proto. For functions, constructor function, what you have to do? We have to set it maybe I will create an object from which it has to inherit from. Okay, maybe c of 100. Okay, now for in case of functions, if you want to add inheritance, you have to do prototype. Okay, and you have to set to the object you want it to be inherited from. So now what is the use of adding like this, right? So whatever object you create out of the constructor function, that object's prototype will be set to object 4. You understand? Whatever objects we create out of ABCs, that prototype chain will be set to object 4. So that's what we can achieve from this. Okay, because constructor function is used for creating objects. If you want to set the proto for all the objects created out of this constructor function, you can do it in this way. If I create an object out of this constructor function, maybe name it let object 5. Okay, maybe. This is not defined. Okay, I think I made a mistake here. Here you can see I have made it. Okay, now I have to reinitialize ABC, right? So let me make it this. That's why I'm not able to call that. Okay. Now I create a function object out of the function. Okay. Now if you see the object files proto will be already set because we have set the prototype to the constructor function. So it will be already set to object 4. Okay. One second. Let me clear it. I'm not getting it. Let me do that again. So let us make it maybe we see this dot something. Let me set a prototype for this constructor function. Let me create an object. Let obj sits equal to c of 200. Okay. Now let me set the prototype object to this constructor function and I will assign it to object sets. Right. Now I have assigned. Now let me create the object out of this constructor function and have it as constructor object. Okay. Now this constructor object will have its prototype set to this object sets. Will have the its proto set to object sets because to the constructor function we have assigned the prototype already. So the any object which is created of the out of the constructor function will have its proto set accordingly. Okay. So now let's check the proto. Now you can see, right? The proto is set to object sets. Now you can using this you can get the values of object sets, that is C, right? Okay. Hope this is clear. Okay. When you assign the prototype to constructor function, what happens is the object which is created out of the constructor function will have its proto assigned already based on what you have set it in the prototype of the constructor function. Okay. So other thing I wanted to tell you is a number will inherit from its number dot prototype. Like similarly, string from string dot prototype, array from array dot prototype, and a object from object dot prototype. Okay. What I am trying to say is a number. Okay. Let me create a b equal to number of 5 maybe. This b, okay. You have seen many properties, right? Many methods. The properties comes from number dot prototype. Whatever you are seeing for number, it is coming from here. Likewise, string, any string object will have its methods from string dot prototype. Similarly for array, similarly for boolean as well. So string dot prototype. From this is where it gets the properties methods from. Okay. So string, if you see its prototype chain, it will be string dot prototype, and then object dot prototype. The object dot prototype will also have all the methods which are common for all the objects. Okay. So any object in JavaScript will have all these values because object is the last one, right? Has own properties, prototype of, toString of, value of. Okay. Fine. Hope this is clear. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.